We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess I probably should have asked if Bill and George, can you guys both hear us okay?
Oh, wait.
I'm not hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Do you hear
I can
me?
hear you, Bill, too, but I can't hear them.
No.
How about now? Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now? Try it again.
Hello? Can you,
There we go.
do you hear us now?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that was it. We were muted.
I'm a genius. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our virtual meeting. Hopefully it'll be one of our, well, I don't know, I don't even want to say it. And to remind everybody that the meeting is public, it is being recorded via audio and video as well. And awards, recognitions, and correspondence. I do have a letter. I have a letter that was written by Lillian Walder. It says, "Dear County Commissioners, thank you for supporting the Umatilla County Livestock Auction. This is my first year showing lambs in 4-H. Raleigh, my lamb, taught me a lot of things this year. I learned I love showing lambs and I can't wait to show more. I am thankful for your support. Sincerely, Lillian Walder." What a fantastic letter.
You want anything else added to that, John? Commissioner Schaefer?
Say that again.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
Okay. As part of the unique circumstances surrounding the sale, both the economic development and the commissioners in general were major participants in supporting the sale, and I think we should be pleased with the results both of our participation, but also the results of that entire sale. My last conversation with Marie Linnell is that they grossed $510,000. That is not a record, but it is near a record, and considering there were about 70 less exhibitors, I think the entire county ought to collectively pat itself on the back for their willingness to step up on behalf of these youth exhibitors. Like everybody else, 2020 hasn't been good to them, and I think at a time when businesses are suffering, this is just a phenomenal thing. We need something to celebrate, and this is certainly something to celebrate.
Couldn't agree more.
It turned out very, very well, and as the auction went on, there were sponsor after sponsor that stepped up. Companies like Les Schwab said they were going to add $50 to every single livestock that was animal that was being sold, which is a major step up, and all of that. And there were several of them. I didn't keep a list, but I know there is one. And we'd like to reach back and thank those merchants and sponsors for what they've done as well. And it did kick it over $500,000. Everybody was really excited with the way it turned out. There are pieces of it that will move ahead and be brought into future fairs, like the virtual livestock worked very well. The prize hog is sold for a fabulous amount of money. Was done on the internet, and it blended in very smoothly with the entire event. The auctioneer would say, "Internet, you're out," and move on to the next, and the internet get back in and bid. It really was a spirited thing, a very good thing to watch.
Well, it's just amazing at how well our local businesses and sponsors were able to step up to the plate, even during this pandemic when they're being hit so hard. It just goes to show the level of commitment, and couldn't be more proud. Okay. Also, I have to say that along with this letter, we got a very nice picture of Lillian and her lamb. So I just want to make sure that, and I believe we're going to put that up in our conference room for show and exhibit, and just a reminder of why we're doing this. So, and And when she came in this morning, I know she was smiling. Of course, you couldn't see it because of her mask, but the eyes gave it away. So, okay.
It was promised chocolate, which unfortunately Commissioner Elfring does not have access to, but maybe we could go online and eat it in front of you.
Go ahead, I'm back on one of my vicious diets again, so.
That means it's up for fair game. Okay, any other awards or recognitions? Correspondence. Okay. And acknowledgements of the minutes of the previous meeting, August 5th of 2020.
I move for adoption.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, phew, I thought I was going to be the only one there for a second.
A little delay.
Okay, any additions to the agenda?
There are none.
No additions.
Commissioner Schaefer, I would like to ask that we add to our agenda our appeal to the governor for reopening and that it receive acknowledgement and support from all three commissioners.
Absolutely. I'll put that at the last one. Okay, any other additions? Okay, seeing none. Public input. If you wanted to speak and you're not on the agenda for something else, now is your opportunity. Okay, and hearing none, we'll go into our business items. Number one, the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan update. Mr. Walder.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Bob Walder, County Planning Director. Before you today is seeking approval for your signature on an intergovernmental agreement, which will allow us to collaborate with the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development to complete an update to the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. The county's NHMT was expired in 2019 and is actually required to be updated every 5 years to maintain eligibility for certain FEMA disaster funding. And so we have kind of a unique opportunity. In February, we applied for a hazard mitigation grant from FEMA, and our preliminary submittal was approved, and now we're just waiting go-ahead from FEMA to begin this work. And we'll be working with all 12 cities in Umatilla County who will be participants in this plan, as well as several special districts such as irrigation districts and some fire districts in the county. So the project is being co-chaired by myself and our county emergency manager, Tom Roberts. And like I say, we'll be working with all 12 cities in the county to update the natural hazard mitigation plan. And given the recent flood disasters in the county, I think it just highlights the critical need for improving our community's resiliency to these types of events and maintaining our disaster-related funding here.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Chair, I move approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. After the early spring, late winter, early spring we've had, I couldn't be more excited for this, by the way. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the dumper purchase, Mr. Fellows.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Dulles, Umatilla County Public Works Director. What we have here is an opportunity to get a piece of equipment from surplus properties for the park. As you're well aware, the park took a pretty big hit on the flood this year, and we've been looking for ways that we could help the park employees better make repairs. And surplus properties had this piece of machinery available. As unfortunately, we couldn't get down and take a look at it. So I talked with the folks down there at surplus property, and they said that if we would pay the $200 to ship it up here, then we could actually, we have 30 days to look at it, either purchase it or send it back. So we'll probably, if we didn't like it, we would have another shipping fee involved to get it back. It seemed to me like the best opportunity to make sure we weren't buying a boat anchor. The price for to purchase this machine is $4,500. The reason I went ahead and brought it before the board now is the time frame was going to be such that if we did like it, this would give us the opportunity to make sure that we could cut the check and get it to surplus properties in a timely fashion.
Yeah, we did discuss this, Tom and I did, and I think this would be fantastic for Harris Park. And I don't know if the other two commissioners were able to see a picture. I think they can keep scrolling. I think there's a picture of it. Yeah, right there. So. Okay, anybody have any questions on that?
Tom, how's that gonna be used up at the park?
It's going to be used in conjunction with our mini excavator. This is a 5-yard dump, basically a dump truck that operates a little different. It's all-wheel drive. It articulates in the middle. And so it's going to be used to basically move material around. We're going to move brush, trees, whatever we need to haul. And the beauty of it is that it's small enough that it's going to get into a lot of those tight areas that we need to get into.
Will it fit into space number 4?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
I don't want it to impact our moving forward today, but I actually would be interested in having a picture emailed or being able to see one after the meeting.
Oh, do you not? If you go to our web page and go to the agenda,
Oh, there we go.
there it is, right there.
Thank you.
I thought they were looking at the screen, but
Thank you to our techie commissioner.
you know, we all have our part to play. Okay, is there a
Are you ready
motion?
for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
I so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners. When we get it here, feel free to come up and get your picture taken on it.
All right.
Don't tempt us. Okay, number 3, CDDP Payable.
This is coming before the board due to the dollar amount. This is a regular payable from the CDDP program. It is for their software support and license for the year. And the request amount is $13,034.25.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Work schedules.
Okay, there are two parts to this requested action. The first one is to document the temporary work schedule for certain county offices, as was done back in April, to allow for distancing of staff where feasible, the employees had a week on, week off schedule. Once the county returned to baseline, the county employees also returned to the schedule, so it is here to document the approval for that temporary work schedule. It started August 3rd. We did not put an end date in the requested action. That will be before the board today for further discussion on how long you want this temporary schedule to last. And the second part of this is to request approval for a new program to allow employees to participate in education of their child through distance learning. The proposal is to allow an employee up to 8 hours a week to utilize for this purpose. They can either reduce their compensation by the 8 hours or make it up by working an hours outside their regular schedule.
So like a flex
Yes.
type schedule. Okay.
Yes, but we're not using that term. It's to allow them basically the ability to meet the requirements for the school district, since we are not really sure when the school districts are going to put this online learning and what it's going to be. So hopefully this will be enough flexibility to allow for the employees that want to utilize this.
And to stress, this is just for the COVID-19,
It's during this emergency. Yes.
not to be confused with anything outside of COVID.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's only during the COVID declared emergency.
Okay, I wanted to have that clear. So,
The sound on my speaker is not the absolute best, and I get an awful lot of echoing sound, but let me make sure I understand this, that this is extending the process of working on alternating shifts as we have been doing. Does it not contemplate any change if we then go to phase 2 or phase 3? I guess phase 3 is when everything's all over, so phase 1, phase 2 would all be the same. They would still be working an alternating shift, is that correct?
That is what the matters before the board for the decision. We have a start date, but the end date is going to be up to the board how you want to do that. There's not any recommendation. If you want to just do it during baseline, that is, I think, what was originally contemplated.
are we talking, I'm confused now, we're talking about the 8 hours a week?
No, the alternating work.
The alternating work schedule, okay.
But
So,
the second part of that is allowing the employees to be home 8 hours a week to assist in the education of their children since the schools are not operating. If the schools then resume operations, I would presume that would then be changed. Is there an ending? Is there an end date on the second portion of that?
It is only during the time that there's a COVID declared emergency. If you want to add that if a school district is able to open, then of course it wouldn't be needed anymore.
so for instance, if I was a parent and my child attended school in Ukiah,
That is correct. They would not need it.
and, okay, so,
Right, I think we need to clarify that. We can't have a uniform ending date. It somehow has to be put together, written in such a form that it addresses the specific school district in which the employee's child is attending. Because I think as we move forward, we're going to have a whole lot of variances in terms of what schools can open and what can't, so it can't be a uniform ending date.
I see.
It should specify the school district in which the employee's child is enrolled.
Yes, I agree with that very much, but it somehow in there, I think we need to make it clear that when the school, if the employee's child is in a school that is in operation, then this would not apply any longer.
The proposal is for education of the child through distant learning. So if the school district is reopened, then there wouldn't be any distance learning.
Okay, that's pretty clear then.
Totally distance learning. They may have various programs that they offer as an optional means of education that would be distance learning anyway. I think we'd want to be clear.
And there may be a hybrid model too. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Commissioner Elfring?
Yes, and even when school resumes in what we would call normal capacity, they may offer some opportunities for distance learning that would not be eligible under the, I mean, we would know what this program would be we wouldn't want it to apply to that type of a situation.
I assume, Commissioner Elfring, what you're referring to is programs offered other than school districts in Umatilla County. Lots of online opportunities that go on all the time, and in my estimation, this is in response to helping our employees, whose children are enrolled in our schools, and need to be able to help them because they can't go to our schools.
I would agree with that, but do not some of our schools in Umatilla County then also offer optional distance learning that could be obtained by a student outside of school?
I don't believe
Even
any.
though school might be in session?
I don't believe any of the Umatilla County schools offer that. Most of those are outside.
Okay.
And this is K through 12, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I think our intent will become a matter of record.
For sure. Okay, so the work schedule, week on, week off, end date and site. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but I thought I heard you say that originally once we come out of baseline, is that when we return to?
That was what I think the original, and I think that's what happened last time, because we went into phase one, and that's when we ended it last time, when we returned, well, not returned, when we initially went into phase one.
Okay, so if we come out of baseline this weekend and return to phase one, for instance, then Monday we'd be fully staffed. Is that what you're saying?
That would be one of your options, yes.
That's one option. Okay. Any thoughts on that from the other two?
Mr. Commissioner, this is Jennifer. Can I make a couple comments?
Yes, please.
Just noting for the record that many of the districts might continue to offer distance learning even if the school goes back to in-person learning. So just want to have the board clarify that this is intended only for when in-person learning is not available.
Oh, you're talking on the first discussion.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, could you repeat that again? I was on the, my brain was on the leave week on, week off.
So it's my understanding that some districts may continue to offer distance learning even when they go back to in-person instruction. And so I'm just clarifying that what the board is intending by this approval is that this is only going to be available when distance learning is the only option.
That's how I am interpreting it.
I want to make sure I understand that because my interpretation is district-specific opportunities. For example, if the Athena School District goes back, but if the Athena School District continues to offer online opportunities for parents who might have specific concerns about the health and welfare of their children, and that program is being offered by the Athena School District, I have no problem with that.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get clarified.
Okay, so, okay, I see where you're at. Okay. And the week on, week off.
I believe that we're presently scheduled to run for 4 weeks. When's that ending date?
That'd be another week after this week.
So if we were to come out of baseline this week, would you be on that same schedule next week, even though we are out of baseline?
Right, so the 31st is everybody's back?
No. I think, let me look at my calendar.
That would be 4
That would, hang on,
Yeah, that'd be the
That'd be the
end of the fourth week.
weeks.
wouldn't this week?
3 weeks is the 21st is perfect.
Okay, so the 24th would be if we came back if we came out of baseline this weekend. If we did
So
a,
the 31st.
the 31st would be if we did an additional week on top of that.
Well, I think as long as we are able to offer a safe environment for our employees to work and to be properly distanced and so on, and provide maps for them, I think they should be at work.
However, I think the intent was a 4-week program, which is equitable, 2 weeks and 2 weeks.
No, I agree with that.
Okay,
So I would move for adoption if that's our intent.
of the 4-week rotation.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody clear on that? Melinda, did you get
Is
that?
that provisional then upon us moving off baseline?
Yep, right.
Well,
Not in my estimation.
if we do not come out of baseline, we'll readdress it at that point. I would
second the motion then.
I'm cautiously optimistic we won't be in baseline next week.
But just in case though, if you, at this point, the 31st, expect everyone back and that we're still in baseline,
Then we
won't have
can,
a meeting until a couple more days. So I don't know if you want to just say through the 31st conditioned on returning to phase 1 or 2.
okay. Did you hear that, Commissioner Murdoch? Did you want to add that to your motion?
Yes, although I would have to add that based upon statistics and everything else, if we don't come out of baseline, it would be absolutely unconscionable.
Now you're skipping ahead in the agenda.
That's happened, Bill.
Okay, we do have a motion. Was there a second on that motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I seconded and I stipulate to the change as well.
Yes.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Eurus CBP grant
Wait,
amendment.
Do you want to take action on the second portion of that regarding the?
Oh, I didn't realize it was two separate motions. Okay.
Well, I didn't, it just sounded like you were talking strictly the first one, and if, I don't know if that was the intent or not.
Which first one?
We got it off.
Was the motion,
Bill, turn your phone off.
Oh my goodness.
did the motion include both parts to that, Pinky?
Which would be the distance learning.
So did we approve the first part? I think that's what we approved, didn't we, the first part of it?
That's what I'm trying to.
I thought we approved this work schedule.
Do you need a motion on the second?
If that, it was not included in the first one. I don't know whether, Commissioner Murdoch, what was your intent?
Unfortunately, an unexpected ring occurred, and I'd like a little more clarification.
So the question is, in your motion, does your motion include both pieces, the work schedule piece, as well as the 8 hours of leave for the education piece? Or do you want to do two separate motions?
Explain that one more time.
Let's do it separate.
There's
I'm having trouble hearing you.
There's two items on the pinky. The first item dealt with the schooling and the work schedules, the 8 hours of,
Actually, the first portion related to the continuation of the alternative work schedule.
oh, I'm sorry, I was reading it backwards.
And so did your motion also include to be taken action regarding the 8 hours of available time off to deal with employees' children's distant learning.
Yes.
Your motion did include both pieces?
So, okay.
John, say that again, I can't hear you.
Take your mask off.
Are you able to hear me a little bit better now? Okay. The pinky had two pieces to it. One piece of the pinky was the schedule, the week on, week off, which we've decided would end on August 31st. The second part of the pinky was to allow employees to be available to their children for distance learning education during the emergency. Did your motion include both pieces of that or just the week on, week off schedule?
My motion is for both.
Okay,
Yeah, my second was as well.
okay, then we moved on. Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, so that's not.
the Eurus CBP grant amendment. Do you want me to do this one? Okay. Background on this, the Eurus committee had recommended grants for funding, and the grants were before the board for approval. The original recommendation was for 9 grants. One of the grantees was unable to raise additional funds to complete the project, so they declined the grant, and that amount would be added to the remaining 8 grants in equal amounts. And seeing as I'm on that committee, I would make that motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Conveyance of property.
Okay, this is coming before the board for authorization to convey property to the Milton Free Water Control District. Back in 1991, the county foreclosed on some property due to delinquent property taxes. There were some notes in the file that rather than the regular practice of putting up for sale, it was to be held on for use of the flood control district. And so the county just held onto that piece of property since 1991. The district now is approaching the county to ask for the property be transferred to it. This piece of property is primarily in the Walla Walla River, and it includes a portion of the levee for that river. So under state law, the county can create a property to a governmental agency, provided that that agency holds the property for 20 years for public purposes. The district is aware of that and is willing to accept the conveyance of that condition. So it's before the board for authorization to approve the conveyance to the Milton Free Water Control District.
This is property that's partly in the river and partly on the levee, is that? what I'm looking at?
That is correct. There's actually 2 parts to it. I don't know if, can you scroll down?
Yeah.
There's no, I don't, was there a tax lot attached? I didn't see it.
Well, it's a really
Oh, wait.
weird tax.
Yeah, there
lot.
we go.
Okay,
Is this it?
on the screen right now in blue is outlined a portion of the tax lot. The tax lot also includes, if you see that more heavier shaded orange line that goes 3 blocks,
This?
that is a ditch that comes down off of, I think it's at Nichols Canyon drainage, and that is actually part of this tax lot as well. There's an easement across that to the city for the ditch, but the county itself still owns the land underneath that ditch. So this will convey both that ditch area as well as the portion that's along the river and the levee.
Is it even usable for anything else?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't believe it is.
I wouldn't think so either, looking at it. Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Livestock District hearing.
Okay, this is related to the North County Livestock District. As the board may recall, back in August, you started a public hearing on the proposed district and continue it to September 2nd for further discussion. The concern now with this being back in baseline, if that will also limit participation at the public hearing and whether or not to give your intent to probably continue that hearing. If you do want to consider that, you probably do not want to take that official action today, but do that on the date of the proposed hearing, September 2nd. But in the meantime, I can notify the participants of your intent. Since the hearing, there's been some contact with some of those opposing the district, and there are proposals for an alternative. At this point, the alternatives don't really look legally feasible, so I don't know, there's not really going to be any further discussion that I'm aware of to resolve this short of either allowing the district or not. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and think, well, September 2nd, you just don't think there's going to be adequate time for public input and give your intent to continue, or just go ahead and continue as planned to have the continued hearing on September 2nd with using the availability, whatever phase we might be in, that it would allow.
Well, we're 2 weeks out right now from September the 2nd, and being in baseline, there has not been the kind of opportunity that there should be, I think, for discussion on the issues here. Did I hear you say you didn't think there would be more discussion?
I don't anticipate any.
I still am optimistic that further opportunities for conversation with the parties involved could hopefully lead to some kind of mutual agreement or solution of the matter. And therefore, I don't have any interest in trying to accomplish that by the 2nd of September. I think we need to get out of baseline. We need to have an opportunity to pursue this matter, and we are not going to be able to pursue it in the next 2 weeks.
I agree with that. I think there's clearly a willingness on both sides of the issue to work together to find an agreement. So I'm more than happy to give them that time.
Would the first meeting in October be an appropriate date? That'd be the 7th.
Do we have to set a hearing date?
You won't at this point. You will have to do that on September 2nd.
Okay.
But we can also indicate that that's probably what the motion will be, that you'd continue to October 7th.
I think it'd be useful if we put together some kind of guidance for the participants that indicates that we're what we need to hear, what we're trying to do, and then set the hearing date based upon when we think conditions are such that we can reasonably work on this more. Because we don't know where we're going to be.
So did you want to, is that a motion, or do you want to phrase it in a motion?
What you can do is, before that date, is try to formulate what you'd like to do and adopt that on September 2nd, along with the continuation.
Oh, I see.
And in the meantime, I can let the parties know that that's what you will intend to do, because you really cannot continue it at this point. You have to do it on September 2nd,
So-
at the hearing date, in order to avoid notice requirements.
So are you looking for a consensus for that?
Basically, I think a notice of your intent to, on September 2nd, continue the hearing to October 7th.
Okay. I would be in favor of that.
I would too.
So would I.
Okay, I can go ahead and take that as an action item and move forward on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 8, our new addition to the agenda, the appeal to the governor. Commissioner Murdoch, I'll let you take it away.
I think both of you have now had an opportunity to read the appeal to the governor that was sent yesterday morning, complete with attachments. And I actually would think it appropriate that we have some sort of a motion that acknowledges our appeal.
I would agree with that.
I would move that our board of commissioners approve the appeal that has been provided to the governor on moving us from baseline to phase 2 and phase 1 at the very worst.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the appeal to Governor Brown? Okay. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Yeah, motion carries. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Elfring.
Well, the report's already been made about the livestock show. I had it on my agenda to talk about, so we won't discuss any of that. I will mention that the grant applications are out. To date, there have been 312 respondents to applications for the grants, and more are still coming in, so it doesn't look like it's going to be very difficult to be able to have an injection of cash into our economy.
And for the record, those grants are in the amount of $5,000, is that correct?
Correct. And the deadline is August the 26th, which I believe is
A week from today.
Next Wednesday, and dates have already been scheduled to bring in at least 2 of the communities already, and the others are in the process of being scheduled. The communities will be able to review the grants that are from their communities and to determine, first of all, that it's a legitimate business and has a legitimate opportunity for a grant. And then those decisions will be made to disperse according to on a population basis. So that will be going on. We're currently, I have not had a direct report from on the incident at the jail. I presume that our county council would have information about that as far as an investigation, perhaps.
There's no further information on that at this time, and we'll probably discuss that at a later time.
Anything further, Commissioner Elfring?
We're working on a couple of pretty good economic development leads that have come to us. One of them ultimately building out to 1 million square feet of floor space, which could be a very large one. They're kind of unique in that one of them requires 1.5 million gallon per day discharge capability. We're really looking at needing to move the concept of a wastewater facility ahead, and Gail and I are working on doing exactly that. I'd like to see it perhaps be a public-private partnership type of arrangement, but the first thing that needs to be done is truly to have an analysis done to see if it's really a feasible thing for us to do. The CARES, the letter from 47 legislators protesting the lack of distribution of the CARES funding from the state of Oregon to counties has been delivered, and we'll see what kind of response it gets. I would hope it would receive something positive, but I'll not hold my breath. That's all I've got.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Well, several of the things that I had on my agenda have already been addressed during the board meeting. I would repeat the fact that we have another appeal in Salem relative to the jail renovation project, because we feel it strictly comes within the boundaries of the CARES funding. The other thing I would report is that while we talked about adopting the appeal to the governor, I think it's important to point out as a matter of record that in the last 3 weeks, our numbers have dropped 52% from 335 to 160. The metric is that they not increase more than 5% in a 3-week period, and obviously a 52% drop is far in excess of the standard. The other thing, and I think we need to applaud our public health staff. Of our 2,000 plus cases, we have traced almost 80% of those to a known source. Those folks are just, I know they're weary, but they're doing an incredible job. And our numbers are good. We are making headway. The last information I heard this morning is that we had 15 cases reported this day in the county, and half of those were DOCI. I think that begs the question of why we continue to have the EOCI numbers included in ours, but as Commissioner Schaefer well knows, we've kind of gotten a runaround on that subject. That's it.
Okay. Last night I had the opportunity to be on a panel, community roundtable, Milton Freewater Virtual Community Roundtable, and the topic was how can our community best support children, students, and families this fall. It was a Zoom meeting that was also translation was available into Spanish while we were speaking. On the panel was Aaron Duff, the superintendent of Milton Freewater Public Schools, myself, Rosanna Lugo with Sabine Vineyards, Public Health, Alicia, actually it was Joe Fiamara was actually on there. This is Alicia, it was Joe. Mental health, we had on the panel was Michaela Cathy with Lifeways, and child care was Toby Sass with Child Care Resource and Referral. It was really good, a lot of information came out. High praise to all the panelists, they did an amazing job. And I want to thank Jacqueline Loning, Lonning. I want to thank her for putting this together. It was a very informative group. And I think that's all I have. So, all right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.